Hey guys, Subi News here. So today I'm going to be doing a character analysis of Mukuro Ikusaba. And I basically asked you guys last week to request which character you'd rather see me do out of her and Kamaida, and I didn't count the comments or anything, but it did seem like a vast majority of you guys wanted me to do Mukuro's first. But without further ado, let's begin. I think that the reason a lot of you guys wanted me to do her is because she doesn't really get a whole lot of attention from the fandom, and most of the time in the series, she is a very mysterious character that isn't really explored into depth. So with this character, I do want to start off by going into depth about her timeline before Hope's Peak Academy, or at least what we know about it. There's not a whole lot of information about Mukuro's past, though we do know that both her and Junko were both homeless at one point in their life before Hope's Peak, and this of course implies that they lived in very unhealthy and harsh conditions at a very young age. Mukuro didn't state any great sentimental comments regarding this, but Junko did mention that she regretted the day of her own birth, implying that this time was probably very hard for them both. At a very young age, Mukuro did show a very big interest in the military, and it is mentioned in elementary school that she won a survival game tournament and began writing stories for military magazines. At one point while she was on vacation with her family in Europe, she decided to run away and join an elite mercenary group based out of the Middle East known as Fenrir. And although she was just about to enter middle school at this point, she still received advanced military training and became highly proficient in a variety of firearms and weapons. And as a member of this organization, she did encounter many different battlefields in which she was never actually wounded in any of them due to her incredible skills. After 3 years of being a member at Fenrir, she does eventually come home and join Junko in her plans to paint the world in despair via the tragedy. Together they formed the Despair Sisters, and in 2010 they both enrolled into Hope's Peak Academy's 78th class, where of course they joined together to recreate the rest of the remnants of despair. That is pretty much all the factual information that is revealed about her past before entering Hope's Peak Academy in the main storyline of Danganronpa 1, and even though this is pretty much it for all the very factual information about her character, there is a lot of hints provided about her character throughout the series in Danganronpa 1, in her free time events, and in IF. And as most of you guys are probably already aware of by this point, this is the main thing I like to focus on in these character analysis videos. I will be using a lot of information regarding her character that was provided in Danganronpa IF, and if you guys don't know what that is, it is an alternate ending for Danganronpa 1 and a light novel that you unlock at the end of Super Danganronpa 2 after you beat it. It's actually not written by Kodaka, but by Ryogo Narita, and it is considered to be a canon work associated with the series, or at least it's considered to be as canon as an alternate story can be. So basically all the characters' personalities and interpretations are correct for that situation. So all the things revealed about Mukuro's personality in this novel is considered to be canon, so I will be using it for this character analysis. So I recommend that if you are planning on reading this book and you haven't already, you may not want to continue this video as I will be spoiling a lot of it from here on out. So the main implications between Mukuro and her relationship to Junko is revealed through a conversation Mukuro has with Monokuma while she's attempting to treat Nagi's fatal wounds that he received after running out in front of the Gungear spears that were supposed to kill Mukuro as they did in the original game. Thus, this was what made this book an alternate ending. Anyway, she's treating his wounds in the nurse's office when Monokuma shows up and attempts to manipulate her into killing Nagi. This manipulation attempt slowly turns into an argument between her and her sister. Mukuro implies in this argument that Monokuma treats her just as Junko would several times by referencing to past encounters and arguments they've had with each other. Based off of this conversation, we can see just how manipulative Junko is to her older sister and how she does it. Mukuro acts very indifferent and stoic towards everyone she encounters with the exception of her sister and Nagi. And since she has very little screen time, I will be analyzing her personality mostly through these two relationships. With Junko, she acts very timid and is always focused on making her happy and pleasing her. She implies that one of the reasons she's so preoccupied with making her sister happy is because she believes that she is the only one who truly understands her sister. It even implies at the end of Danganronpa IF when Monokuma threatens to erase Mukuro's memory of everything, including Junko, that Mukuro identifies herself with Junko, so much to the point that the only memory she was upset over possibly losing was the memory of Junko. I think the reason she is so constantly obsessed with keeping her sister happy and why she identifies her own existence with her so much is a mixture of the mental abuse she probably received from Junko from a very young age and some guilt from abandoning her with their family the years that she spent with Fenrir. The fact that they were homeless at some point regardless of the reasoning does imply that they were the only two people they really had in each other's life, and I think Mukuro probably took on the responsibility in this relationship because she was the oldest sibling, and in this she probably learned how to combat against despair for the welfare of them both, while her sister simply fell into the depths of it. Since it implies that Junko fell into despair at a very young age, I think it's possible that she influenced Mukuro's decisions greatly every day to the point where Mukuro felt that she couldn't think for herself. This is implied several times on the free time events with Nagi, where she foreshadows she and her sister's relationship while dressed as Junko. When talking to him, she refers to her modeling career to cover up the fact that she's talking about her sister. In these events, she discusses with him that she doesn't necessarily hate what she does, she just feels like she never got a choice in the matter, and that she would like to pursue her own dream instead of Junko's. But of course, in this event, she covers it up by saying that she would rather pursue her own dream instead of modeling because she is still disguised as Junko. Another way this is implied is in Danganronpa IF, where Monokuma mentions that Mukuro fell in love with Nagi because he was the first person to ever smile at her. Now I can see that there is definitely some major problems with the relationships for Mukuro, and why she may have come to believe that her relationship with Junko was normal. The fact that the only person to show her the slight amount of genuine affection, and the fact that it took entirely until high school for her to experience this small gesture, definitely implies to me that she never had any stable support from anyone else. It's also implied that she has an incredibly low self-esteem from all the emotional abuse that Junko has put her through. This is also seen in that same conversation where once Junko refers to her as a disappointment in her eyes, her spirit is almost entirely crushed in an instant. It definitely seems that Mukuro's ultimate dream is to make Junko happy in whatever way she can. And because of this, it really leads to her downfall in several ways. Firstly, it leads to the downfall of her life, and secondly, it leads to her failure to satisfy Junko and accomplish her goal. The interesting thing about Mukuro and Junko's relationship is that the way in which Mukuro tries to please Junko is the same that a normal person would try to make someone else happy. By this, I mean that she helps her with all her plans, she's always there for her, she always supports her, etc. But this is exactly the opposite of what Junko wants, because as we all know, Junko is incredibly obsessed with despair. Junko implies to Mukuro that she wanted Mukuro to betray her and hate her, since she does express that Mukuro and are the only two people she loved, therefore she wanted them to hate her and to kill her, to fill her with even more despair. So the only way in which Mukuro could make Junko happy was by betraying her, or by being killed by her, which is obviously, a conflict to Mukuro's interest because she wants to be with her sister and help her sister. So I felt like this was a really interesting internal conflict that had sort of developed between the two. No matter how hard Mukuro worked to please her sister, she would always end up being a disappointment to her because the only way in which she could satisfy her was by turning against her, which Junko knew she would never do. I do think the really sad thing about Mukuro's character is the fact that she was so heavily influenced by Junko, and she was so heavily manipulated by Junko from such a very young age. It is really sad because she does mention that she wishes no harm to the world, and she really doesn't feel like it deserves a tragedy or anything of that sort, but the only reason she does it is to please Junko because that is her main goal in her life. So I think it is really sad that she sort of was unlucky enough to have grown up with Junko and to be influenced by her so heavily. I think this could really happen to anyone in the Danganronpa universe because it seems that Junko is a very persuasive person for some reason, because we do see that she's very successful in manipulating countless people throughout the series. But that is it for my analysis of Mukuro. I did find some interesting trivia stuff, and most of the stuff I did find was on the Wikia page. But in the demo version of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Mukuro's death at the hands of Monokuma does not actually occur, and this means that she is also present in the first class trial. Another interesting sort of tidbit of information is that the word Mukuro actually means corpse, while the kanji for Ikusaba means warblade or sometimes battlefield. In Danganronpa 1, she was killed by what Monokuma called the Spears of Gungnir, and in Norse mythology, the Spear of Gungnir was the weapon of Odin, who used to slay the monstrous wolf Fenrir, whose name is also the name of the mercenary group which Mukuro was affiliated with. So these are just a couple of tidbits of information that I thought were pretty cool and that I found on the Wikia page. I couldn't really find a whole lot more when I searched interviews and things discussing her, since she is kind of a mysterious character, but I thought these little word plays and things like that were pretty interesting. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know what your opinions on Mukuro Ikusaba are in the comments section. I would love to hear from you guys. I really had a lot of fun looking up information about her character because I had read IF a while ago, but I never really sat there and analyzed her character point for point and kind of analyzed her relationship with Junko, so it was a lot of fun to sort of do that. Also, let me know if there's any other characters you'd like to see me do. Like I said, I'm probably going to be doing Nagito's next, but I am definitely open to more recommendations after that one, so be sure to let me know in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more Danganronpa content, videos, and updates if you haven't already. And I will see you guys real soon.